What makes Shedeur Sanders' meteoric rise even more remarkable isn't just the stats, the mechanics, or even the leadership. It's how thoroughly he has shifted the energy in Cleveland, from an anxious, quarterback-starved city to one that now speaks confidently about the future. Just a few months ago, fans debated whether the Browns had any viable long-term options at quarterback. Today, that conversation has shifted to, how far can Shedeur take us? Inside the facility, the buzz is undeniable. Veteran offensive linemen, who have seen more quarterback rotations than most franchises cycle through in a decade, now speak with something rare, conviction. He's the guy, one lineman reportedly told coaches after a grueling joint practice. We finally have our quarterback.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The turning point in camp wasn't a single throw, play, or scrimmage. It was consistency. Day in, day out, Sanders showed up early, stayed late, and took every rep with urgency. Wide receivers quickly adjusted to his cadence and ball placement. Even third stringers, who rarely see targeted passes in drills, found themselves catching lasers across the middle, as Sanders used every opportunity to sharpen timing and spread confidence. Veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, who entered the offseason as the presumed starter, became something else, a mentor. While many veterans would bristle at being upstaged by a rookie, Flacco reportedly welcomed the competition and the leadership torch gracefully. One moment in particular stood out during a closed-door film session. Flacco paused the tape after one of Sanders' deep corner throws. "That's not a rookie throw," he said, shaking his head. "That's a year 5 read." Head coach Kevin Stefanski, known for his methodical approach to quarterback development, found himself in unfamiliar territory. Stefanski usually leans conservative with rookies, opting to ease them in. But Shedeur was rewriting that playbook. The staff initially planned to use him in preseason packages, limiting him to play-action scenarios and second-half snaps. Those plans dissolved within 2 weeks. The coaching staff began building a playbook around him, his strengths, his pace, his instincts. The offense morphed. Out went some of the slower developing routes tailored for traditional pocket passers. In came more quick strike options, motion shifts, layered reads, schemes that rewarded Sanders' ability to read defenses before the snap and attack quickly. The team's veteran receivers, initially unsure how much chemistry they could develop with a rookie, started requesting more reps with him. One said, "He throws it where only I can get it. That gives you trust." Meanwhile, Shedeur stayed humble. At every press conference, he redirected praise. "It's about the team," he said. "All I'm doing is my job. I trust the guys around me." But everyone knew he was doing more than his job. He was elevating others to do theirs better. Off the field, Sanders continued to build his reputation as a community-first leader. After the event for displaced families caught media attention, he didn't stop there. He began visiting local high schools, attending youth football practices, and even hosted an open Q&A at a city rec center. It wasn't performative. He listened more than he spoke. He encouraged local kids to focus on discipline, not just dreams. One high school coach said, "Shedeur didn't just talk like a pro. He talked like someone who understands legacy." And that word, legacy, is beginning to surround his name. The NFL is watching. Executives who passed on him in the draft now face scrutiny. Why didn't they see it? Some will say he's overperforming, others that he landed in the right system. But deep down, the truth is simple. They missed. They underestimated the one quality scouts can't quantify: intent. Shedeur didn't enter the league to participate. He entered to lead, to win, to rewrite his narrative on his own terms. As training camp neared its conclusion, the Browns' quarterback room took its final shape. Gabriel, talented, but still adjusting to the speed of the NFL, saw reduced reps. Flacco, reliable, but limited in mobility and upside, settled into a mentor role. Sanders got the lion's share of first-team snaps, and more importantly, the trust of the locker room. Then came the preseason opener. The stadium, packed with anxious fans, buzzed as Sanders jogged onto the field for his first official NFL series. He wasn't jittery, no forced energy, just calm eyes, surveying the defense. The first play? A quick read slant for 12 yards. The second? A bootleg rollout, hitting the tight end in stride. By the end of the first quarter, he had orchestrated 2 touchdown drives and a field goal. The scoreboard didn't matter. The message did. This wasn't a fluke. This was the beginning. Post-game, Coach Stefanski spoke candidly. He's earned everything. Every rep, every decision. He's made this team better. That's what you want in a quarterback. A week later, the announcement came. Shedeur Sanders would be QB1 entering the regular season. Cleveland erupted. Jerseys sold out overnight. Social media lit up. But for Sanders, the response was the same: work. In his own words, QB1 doesn't mean I've arrived. It means I have more responsibility now, and I'm ready for that. NFL analysts began shifting narratives. Suddenly, the Browns were no longer a rebuilding team. They were a dark horse playoff contender. The offense, once viewed as conservative, now had teeth. And defensive players around the league took note. We have to game plan for that kid. Perhaps most impressive was how Sanders handled praise. He didn't seek the camera. He rarely posted highlights. Instead, he spent his time in the film room, breaking down his next opponent, asking questions, learning protections, identifying blitz packages. He worked with linemen to improve communication. He asked receivers for feedback on his timing. He sat with defensive coaches to understand how they'd attack someone like him. He wasn't just QB1 in title. He was QB1 in culture. By week 1, the tone had shifted entirely. The Cleveland Browns were a different team, not just because they had a new quarterback, but because they had a new identity. One rooted in humility, precision, energy, and belief. And it all started with a 5th-round pick who wasn't supposed to be here, who wasn't supposed to win the job, who wasn't supposed to silence the doubters this quickly. But that's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. He doesn't care what's supposed to happen. He only cares about what will. Week 1 arrived with more tension than Cleveland had felt in years. Not since the city's last brush with playoff relevance had there been this much electricity surrounding a game. Every news outlet, every podcast, every local radio host was talking about Shedeur Sanders. Could the rookie actually deliver on the hype? First drive, 9 plays, 78 yards. It wasn't flashy, but it was clinical. Sanders hit 3 different receivers, executed a perfect check down under pressure, and capped it off with a play-action strike to his tight end in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown. The stadium erupted. But it wasn't just about scoring early. It was how he did it, efficient, composed, and unshaken by the moment. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was trying to win. Defensive players on the Browns sideline, many of whom had seen quarterbacks come and go without consistency, exchanged looks. One of them muttered, "This kid's different." And it wasn't just the Browns who noticed. The opposing defense started shifting coverages. Safeties crept closer to the line. Cornerbacks tightened up. They weren't dealing with a backup anymore. They were facing a quarterback who read defenses like a veteran and punished mistakes like a surgeon. By halftime, Sanders had thrown for 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. More impressively, he'd orchestrated 3 scoring drives and avoided taking a single sack. His internal clock, something scouts had once questioned, seemed flawless. He knew exactly when to step up, roll out, or throw the ball away. In the locker room at halftime, he didn't give a speech. He didn't scream. He didn't do the rah-rah rookie routine. Instead, he sat next to the offensive line and quietly asked what adjustments they needed. He double-checked timing with his receivers. He asked his offensive coordinator if there were any red zone looks he wanted to test. He was there to execute, not be a spectacle. In the second half, the Browns held the lead. Sanders continued to manage the game with precision. On a crucial 3rd and 9 late in the 4th quarter, with the defense showing an all-out blitz, he audibled, changed the protection, shifted the formation, delivered a dart over the middle to his slot receiver for a first down that iced the game. Final stat line: 24 completions on 30 attempts, 285 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. But the stat that mattered most? a win. In the post-game presser, head coach Kevin Stefanski spoke with clarity. He earned it. Every rep, every throw, every read. He didn't just play like a rookie. We're not going to talk about him like a rookie anymore. He's our quarterback. From that moment, a new narrative emerged. Not can Shedeur survive as a starter, but how far can he take this team? Week after week, Sanders proved that week one wasn't a fluke. Against division rivals, he remained composed in hostile environments. In come-from-behind scenarios, he never panicked. When defenses adapted, he adjusted. And when his teammates made mistakes, he didn't scold. He rallied. One defining moment came in Week 5. Down by 10 points at halftime against a top-5 defense, Sanders returned to the field and led 3 consecutive scoring drives, including a game-winning touchdown with 22 seconds left. It wasn't just about the comeback. It was about how he read the defense pre-snap, baited the safety with his eyes, and delivered a perfect throw into the tightest window of the game. The camera caught Sanders smiling calmly as he jogged back to the sideline. Not a celebration,